When is the right time? It's sort of like your high school teenager coming back and saying, Dad, I got somebody pregnant. Hey, man, it ain't no right time for that. Ain't no right time. When is the right time to put a suitable backup behind a star? I've seen it coming up in the league with Joe Montana, Steve Young. We've seen it with Brett Favre in the same situation. Now it's the same organization. The time is now. Aaron Rodgers is still going to be Aaron Rodgers, but the guys like Favre and Joe Montana moving around, now Tom Brady, it opens the door to make you think, hey, you may not finish your career in Green Bay, but that does not negate that you're still great. It may be time to put somebody behind you. And just because it's a quarterback, ain't nothing wrong with that. You do it with every other position.
Yeah, for me, this
Brian Billick, what do you think?
You guys already said it. I mean, he's perfect. Yeah, he's perfect for them because he does have some developmental time still to come. Of all the quarterbacks we talked in the first round, he is probably the one that still needs the most maturing. Who better behind Aaron Rodgers? But still, as we said, the irony of Rodgers, Favre, same age, 15 years in the league. As we've been hearing for the last 3 days, Aaron Rodgers, you're on the clock. And don't think for a second that he's not aware of that. I'm sure it'll be great relationship. Let's remember how the relationship was between Favre and Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Good pick for the organization, but Aaron's on the clock.
I agree with Coach Billick 100%. It's a great pick for the organization. Why? They were 13-3. 13-3 means you're going to get a late pick anyway because you're going to be good. What if they drop to 11-5? That's still great. You're still going to get a pick 15 or later. How are you going to find a great quarterback, a good quarterback to take over your franchise, a storied franchise, a winning franchise if you're picking that late? I think it's the right move. I love the move. I love the guts that it took to make the move. Now, Aaron Rodgers just has to stand and deliver and not look over his shoulder.
I love the move as well, and I love how we work Love into that. The kid's name is Love here, but the narrative last offseason was how are Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers going to get together? Now, looking ahead, the narrative, you know it will be all summer, how will Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers work and get along? Thank you, guys. Thank you, Deion. Thank you, Brian Billick. More from both coming up shortly here. There is more quarterback news today. Jameis Winston has found a home, and that's right. That is not a misprint on the bottom of your screen. The Saints are expected to sign Jameis Winston to a one-year contract after 5 years in the NFC South as the former #1 overall pick with the Buccaneers. Ian Rappaport, he is staying in the division, and he is going to back up Drew Brees? Really?
Oh, yeah, it is real, and it is spectacular for Jameis Winston. It's hard to find a better landing spot. First of all, hard to find a better landing spot anywhere for a backup quarterback than behind one of the all-time greats and one of the all-time great offensive coaches and play callers. But just think about it, Andrew. It's late in April. So many of the jobs are filled up. There's very few places you can go. And all Jameis Winston did, and of course this is something that is expected to be finalized, all he did was find a landing spot in New Orleans. It's not a big deal. He turned down lesser offers from other places. This was about learning from the Masters, kickstarting his career, again, similar to Teddy Bridgewater. Meanwhile, the New Orleans Saints also locked up a pretty big part of their quarterback room as well. They signed Taysom Hill to a one-year extension worth about $16 million. So in all, he's under contract for 2 years, $21 million. He gets $16 million fully guaranteed. The whole thing in its entirety can be worth $22 million total. This is similar to what the Colts did with Jacoby Brissett, basically protecting themselves in case something happens with Taysom Hill. He catches fire and they need to franchise him the next year. Either way, this is a loaded quarterback room in New Orleans.
Yeah, and you could add Tommy Stevens as well, who the Saints signed as an undrafted college free agent, kind of an understudy for Taysom Hill in that role as the mobile kind of gadget quarterback. Thank you, Ian Rappaport. Let's look at some of the Jameis Winston numbers, not the contract numbers, but look at the turnover numbers on the bottom here. 30 interceptions, 35 giveaways, last in the league in both categories. I don't know that we're shocked that Jameis Deion could not find a starting job, but I thought he would go to a team where maybe he would get a chance to get on the field or maybe beat somebody out. I don't know where that job was, but I didn't think it was going to be New Orleans.
Well, we're focusing on the bottom two instead of the top two. The top two were phenomenal numbers for any quarterback. I like Jameis Winston. Does he need to learn the mechanics? Does he need to learn how to read defenses? Yes, he does. What place could you go better? I mean, come on, man. You sitting up there with Drew Brees every day. I had the pleasure and the luxury to go through there, taking my high school team through New Orleans. Sean Payton allowed us to come on the field and watch them practice. And to see this guy go through his day of work was phenomenal. To see him go through his progressions, the way he attacks the game, even in practice, it's going to give Jameis Winston so much more confidence and understanding how to be a true pro. I think it's a great move. I think it's a move of humility, and I love it 100% for Jameis Winston.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking the right player at the right price to the right team. Obviously, Jameis Winston wants to look at this and not wishing ill Drew Brees, but hey, look what happened to Teddy Bridgewater. If called upon, now I'll come in, I'll do the same thing with Sean Payton, dynamic offense wrapped around me, and even if I don't, if Drew Brees hopefully plays the entire season, Drew Brees just signed that contract with NBC. The old adage says if you're thinking about retiring, you're retired. So it may be just a 1 year. And now they have an opportunity for him to step in. So it kind of makes sense all the way around. And yes, Jameis Winston can use the tutelage under Drew Brees and Sean Payton, because if he does get an opportunity and he gets into the lineup, I guarantee you, Sean Payton's not going to leave him in there very long if he continues to turn the ball over. And oh, by the way, we got Taysom Hill we can put in if that happens.
It probably also gives us some insight as to how Payton wants to use Taysom Hill this year. If he was a legitimate backup, you don't need Jameis Winston, but he's going to be on the field probably more than he was last year, which was a lot, as more of a gadget guy and a guy that's catching passes and running the football as well. Thank you, Deion. Thank you, Coach. Coming up on NFL Total Access Draft Recap, we're just getting started. Joe Burrow's number one. How quickly can the Bengals win? He has an exclusive conversation with Ian Rappaport, with more details on draft weekend, plus more details on the Cowboys draft. Jerry Jones is smiling because he never thought CeeDee Lamb was ever gonna be there. We'll tell you how we thought Dallas did next. Joe Burrow went number one overall. You kind of sort of knew that, but maybe there was an outside chance that he would have to go into the box sent to him by the NFL and get one of the other caps. They sent him all 32. But nope, it's mom and dad. It's Athens, Ohio. It is a Bengals cap, and he has a short drive now to Cincinnati. Here he is with our Ian Rappaport.
Was it exciting, special, anticlimactic? Like, how would you describe actually hearing your name called?
Relieved. You hear all the talk up leading to the draft, and there's nothing you can do on the field to kind of combat anything that's being said about you. So it's nice to have this over with and, ready to get to practice, ready to get to the season and start playing ball again.
So you are wearing the Bengals hat as we speak. Usually the NFL sends teams all the hats. Did they only send you one hat?
No, they sent me all 32 of them, surprisingly. We'll have to figure out what to do with the other 31.
Neighbors, I guess.
I guess so.
One of the kind of interesting things that emerged from this whole process, obviously teams usually have pre-draft meetings. You don't do that now because of the coronavirus. So everyone was on Zoom calls. You have spent, from what I understand, a lot of time on calls with Zach, head coach of the Bengals, with Brian Callahan, the OC. Tell me what that process of getting to know them has been like.
It's been great, and I think the relationship is going to be really good for a long time. I love Coach Callahan, Coach Taylor, and Coach Pitcher. They're great dudes that, I think are going to enhance my abilities and mold me into the offense and take advantage of what I can do on the field. Did you get a sense for what the offense is going to be like, and do you like it? Does it fit you? Yeah, it does. And I think the direction that they're headed is going to fit me even more. And they're going to do things that I'm comfortable with, and that's a great sign. And, I'm super excited to be working with them.
Have you talked to Andy Dalton yet?
Yeah, he reached out and just welcomed me to the team, and I had met him before all this coronavirus craziness started out in California, and I went up and just introduced myself. So we have met each other twice now, I guess.
So, what do you think? I mean, do you have any sense if he's going to be around? Would you like him to be? I guess. What are kind of your feelings for that?
I have no idea what their plans are and what his plans are. You know, I'm just brand new to this whole NFL thing. So whatever the situation is, I'm going to adapt to it and be the best player that I can be.
Did Wayne Gretzky text you? Because I heard that he did.
He did, yeah. And I showed it to my dad. I think he almost fainted. That was like 2 or 3 minutes before the draft officially kicked off.
So we got a box of hats and a text from Wayne Gretzky. Not bad. Also got T. Higgins to throw to with the #1 pick in the second round, 33rd overall. That is the haul for Duke Tobin and Mike Brown. For more on the Bengals now, here's our Aditi Kinkabwala.
The Bengals got themselves their franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow, and it was certainly endearing to Bengals fans to hear that one of the first things he said to head coach Zach Taylor was, "I'm ready to go." But now, perhaps even more important than the selection of Burrow was the fact that the Bengals showed they are committed to investing around him. With the first pick in the second round, they chose Clemson receiver T. Higgins, and that's with A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, and John Ross already on the roster. But the way Taylor